I'll look when I get off. That tall building right over there? That's where Auntie Chicky works. Pretty sure that's it.
Sit on your butt. I ripped your power.
But this is what happens when you accidentally walk in front of a train and people are coming and go backwards, but we don't know that you're not going to stop. So we have to stop the train in order to be safe. Well, now, how many times have you ever been stopped on the train here, Greenfield Village? There you go! Highlight of your day! Well, we were, this morning the Firestone Farm, this little patch of ground here on the left-hand side was planting pasture grass. So our lambs will be over here probably sometime during the summertime. The lambs and the older ones, our sheep itself, will probably have a nice place to graze during the summertime. Now we are coming up to the very front, and again, this goes for safety-wise. When you see the crossing up here, and when it sounds, please just stop. It means stop. You want to go through a red light at the intersection. Don't put your body in front of the train no matter what. Even though you know we're going to stop, but you just never know. So please, just always stop, wait. And if you stop, the people behind you will also do the same thing. They will stop and wait and then cross over. Thank you so much for your patience. You have been very kind. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day, but just thank you. Just got stopped in the middle of the tracks here at Greenfield Village. How often does that happen? Wait for the whistle now, and you'll exit on the right.
Keeping your hands, legs, arms, head, and feet inside the train at all times. And please no eating or drinking while on the train. Now, if you have youngsters with you, we do ask that the adults with them place themselves at the end of the row. And if that's not practical, then please make sure the kids are held or are easily within your reach. Thank you.
Good job.
And as we get ready to leave the Firestone station, let's get ready to wave goodbye to Greg, Ben, and Gordon, our station masters here today. And we're beginning a 25-minute trip around the inside perimeter of Greenfield Village. And we'll be covering about 2.5 to 3 miles of track. Now the village is about 200 acres, and we have nearly 100 historic buildings scattered throughout the village. And we do have 7 historic districts here in Greenfield Village. And we're entering the first of those historic villages now. This is the Henry Ford Model T district. And you can see up ahead on the left-hand side this large white building, which is the birthplace of Henry Ford. He was born in one of those upstairs bedrooms on July 30th of 1863. Now this farm was originally located in the area of Ford and Greenfield Roads in Dearborn. It was a 114-acre farm. But Henry was not a person who liked farm work. He'd much rather tinker with machinery than work on the farm. So at the age of 16, he left the farm and began working in machine shops of Detroit. Now right across the street from the farm, you have a chance to go in and see a replica of the shed where Henry Ford developed his quadricycle in 1896. And as we pass the farmhouse, you can see down Main Street where we have such buildings as the Wright Brothers Cycle Shop, the Wright Brothers Home. There's also Mrs. Cohen's Millinery and the Heinz Home. And there's also a scaled-down version of the Mack Avenue Ford Motor Company building. Behind that, you can catch a ride on a Model T. And this beige building on our left is the Miller School. This is one of the schools that Henry Ford attended while he was a youngster. And we're now heading into the Thomas Edison at Work District. In fact, you'll be able to see a statue of Thomas Edison on the left-hand side. He is seated, and he's probably thinking about what his next invention will be. And if he had an idea for one, he'd probably develop it here at the Menlo Park Laboratory, this large gray building. In fact, that's where he developed the incandescent light bulb, the phonograph, and many, many other inventions. In fact, during his lifetime, Edison accumulated 1,093 U.S. patents, far more than anyone else at that time. And up ahead, you can see this mustard-colored building. That's the Sarah Jordan boarding house, and many of Edison's unmarried male employees would stay there while they're working at the laboratory. And this Sarah Jordan boarding house is one of the first residences in the world to be wired for electric lights. And you can now see on the left the small gray building, which is the Fort Myers Laboratory. This is the original Fort Myers Laboratory. There is one down in Fort Myers, Florida, but it's a replica and not the original building. But anyway, this is where Thomas Edison was working during his vacations in Florida during the winter months. And one of the things he was working on there was trying to find a substitute for rubber. They were trying to find a domestic source for rubber rather than relying on foreign sources. And right now we're coming into the Porches and Parlors District. Gateway to the district is the Ackley Covered Bridge here. This was built in 1832 and was located in southwest Pennsylvania. And up ahead you can see the oldest building here in the village. It's the Cotswold Cottage. It's at the top of the hill. And it's that limestone building up there. It was built in the early 1600s in England. And Henry Ford and his wife Clara enjoyed that style of building. And they were always on the lookout for one that they could buy and move here to Greenfield Village. And they found this one. It's called the Rose Cottage. And the same stone masons who took this one apart also put it back together here in Greenfield Village. All right, we're stopping now at the Susquehanna station. This is a good jumping off point for porches and parlors. And we'll be able to, please remain seated, sir. And we'll be able to exit up the lift.
Jackson, sit back. We're gonna go.
As we get ready to leave the Susquehanna platform, let's wave goodbye to Mike. He's our station master here today. All right, we're moving further into the Porches and Parlors district, and this large white building on our left is the Susquehanna Plantation Building. This was located in the Tidewater region of Maryland. It's a 700-acre plantation, and it grew wheat, corn, and tobacco. Now, the oldest American-made building here in the village is this reddish one. It's the Plimpton family home. It was built in 1640, 20 years after the Pilgrims landed, and it was located in South Sudbury, Massachusetts. And if you can imagine, 2 adults and 7 children lived in that one-room building. And here's the Ferris windmill, built in the mid-1600s. It was located on the north shore of Cape Cod. And there's the Daggett Farmhouse. This was built in 1754 in Coventry, Connecticut. And we do have some presenters in there who will be happy to talk with you about what life was like back in those old, early colonial days. Here's our paddock area. This is where we bring our horses after they've been pulling wagons and carriages in the village. They have a chance to graze over here and generally relax and get ready for the next time that they have called upon to do some work here at Greenfield Village. Now the locomotive that is pulling our train today is called the Torch Lake. And it's the oldest regularly operating steam locomotive in the United States. Our locomotive was built in 1873 and was used in Michigan's Upper Peninsula by the Calumet and Hecla Mining Company. And they would use the Torch Lake to pull copper ore cars and also as a switch engine. Now the Torch Lake weighs in at 50 tons and has a capacity of 1,200 gallons of water and 1 ton of coal in the tender. At the top of the hill on our right is the Eagle Hill. This is an auxiliary parking area that we use when we have special events taking place in the village and have capacity crowds. People can park their vehicles back here and ride a shuttle bus up to the main gate. And now I'm going to remain silent for a few minutes and let you enjoy the sights, the sounds, and even the smells of locomotive travel back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. actually an 11-acre wetlands restoration area, the largest of its kind here in southeastern Michigan. And the Henry Ford and state and local governments have been working in this area to restore the Rouge River to its natural condition. Now you see the river, it's on the right-hand side, a little below us, and you'll notice that it does have natural river banks. Not too far from where we are currently located, the Rouge River has a cement bottom and cement sides, and that was done for flood control purposes, but over here it's natural. Now we do have a small herd of white-tailed deer in this area, as well as raccoons and possums and turkeys. And we're now coming into the Walnut Grove area. This is our special event field, and during the summer months on Saturdays and Sundays you can see the historic baseball games that we are playing here. In fact, we have two historic baseball teams here in the village. They are the Lottie Daws and the Nationals, and they play his other teams from the Michigan area as well as the Midwest, and they all play a historic brand of baseball. In other words, they play according to rules that were written back in the 1860s, and one of those rules, for example, would call for the fielders to not use gloves while playing the game. They had to catch the ball with their bare hands. Now up ahead is the Henry Ford Academy. This is a public charter school that's open to students who live in Wayne County, Michigan. And we have about 500 students who attend the academy in grades 9 through 12. Now, 9th graders actually have their classes over at the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation. 10th, 11th, and 12th graders have their classes in this area. Now, you see a large boulder on our left that's been painted blue, and that contains the names of our graduating seniors. And speaking of seniors, these classrooms up ahead are actually Pullman cars that have been converted into classrooms, and they're used by our seniors. As we pass the classrooms, you'll see on the left the Swanee Lagoon. This is a catch basin for water overflow in the village. Now we do have quite a turtle population in the lagoon, and on those warm, sunny summer day, you'll see turtles basking in the sunlight and resting on the logs and branches that are above the water line over here. In fact, we have one snapping turtle that's as large as a garbage can lid, and we refer to him as Godzilla. And to our left at the top of the hill here, you can see the rear of the Martha Mary Chapel. This is a non-denominational chapel. It's a frequent wedding venue here in the village. Henry Ford named it after his mother, Mary Ford, and his mother-in-law, Martha Bryant. And we're now passing the Taste of History. This is a cafeteria-style restaurant, and it's open until 5 o'clock, and it will be serving snacks and drinks until that time. Now, the large white building on the left is the Eagle Tavern. That will be opening up on Mother's Day, and that's another restaurant that we have here in the village. Now, that was originally located in Clinton, Michigan. In fact, it was called the Clinton Inn, and it was on the stagecoach run between Detroit and Chicago. And we're now coming up to the Smith Creek platform area, and you can see the work that's taking place here. We're putting down a cement pad and enlarging the size of the platform. And understand this will be ready for us by May 3rd. It's not too far away. Now here's the Smith Creek Depot building. This was located in Smith Creek, Michigan, and was built in 1858. And it was on the Grand Trunk Railroad line that ran between Detroit and Fort Worth. Now our newest addition to the village is this open-air market building on our left. That is the vegetable building, which was part of the Detroit Central Market. That was built in 1861 and remained in service until 1894, when it was then taken down and moved over to Belle Isle, where it became a horse stable. The Henry Ford named the building in 2003, and we've had it in storage up until last year when it was taken out and reconstructed. Now here's the Detroit Toledo and Milwaukee Roundhouse. This is where we service and maintain our steam locomotives, as well as our rolling stock in the village. Now this building was originally opened up in the year 2000, but it's based on a roundhouse that was located in Marshall, Michigan. That one opened up in 1884 and remained in service until the 1930s. When it was torn down, we were able to secure some of the parts from the original roundhouse and use them in the creation of our roundhouse here in Greenfield Village. And now to the left, you'll be able to see the Liberty Craft Works area. That's where we have some skilled artisans who do such things as glass blowing, pottery making, weaving, and printing. If you have time today, I know time is getting short here, but if you do have time, it is an interesting place to visit while you're here in the village. And right now we're coming into the working farm district. We have about 7 acres that we plow and plant every year, growing such crops as winter wheat, field corn, and hay. And up ahead on the right-hand side is the Firestone farmhouse that was built in 1828. That's the birthplace of Harvey Firestone. Harvey went out to create the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company in the year 1901. And he and Henry Ford were very good friends. In fact, many of the Model Ts that came off the Ford assembly line had on them Firestone tires. And you can see some of our livestock here. And we're pulling into the Firestone station. We'll be stopping here for roughly 4 minutes. And you'll be able to exit on the right-hand side of the train, but please remain seated until you hear the whistle from the locomotive. That will indicate that the train has come to a complete stop, and it's safe to stand and exit the train. So please remain seated. Let's wait for that whistle to sound.